Hello folks, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back. And we are right here in one of the cellars of the old farm, and this cellar dates back to 1616, and we have a couple of those. And in one of them I installed a laundry room, and this is where we're having a little bit of a problem, or had a problem with the water. So let's have a look on that and see on how we're going to fix that humidity problem. Now, before anybody is going to make comments on you should never place drywall in front of a humid wall because that's going to cause problems. Well, I did check the walls before, and here you go, you see it again. You know, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but we got like 12.5% humidity. Maybe I can do it like this so you can actually see it. So it is not really humid at all, the walls. So that is why I decided to place special drywall onto the laundry room. And the reason why I placed drywall in front of the old walls in the laundry room was just purely to have it a little bit neat and clean, because that's where you do the laundry. And these old walls, they do give a little bit of dust, of course. But it's exactly the same walls that we just have seen here, where I'm right here. Now this would probably make a very nice room for wine, if you like wine, but I don't drink wine. So let's have a look in the laundry room now, what the issue is and what happened there. So this is the laundry room. And you probably can spot it already on the walls. We have some dark spots, and that is because we had some water coming in during the last summer, because it has been raining like crazy. Now that's the first time I've seen this in about 10 years. I haven't seen it before. The drywall is installed on galvanized studs, and the drywall itself is the green type, which is waterproof basically. So that's the kind of stuff you use in bathrooms and in cellars. Now, when I installed it, I made sure it did not sit on the ground. So I have a small insulation layer underneath, behind these plints. But still, water came in this winter, as I said, and it got about this high up. So it went over, actually, my humidity shield. And that's the problem. So now I need to fix this so that is not going to happen again. Now, there's one more thing I want to say, is that these walls really have no issue with humidity as such, right? This was because water came in. But let me show you something, what these old cellars typically have, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these walls. Cellars like this that are so old, they typically had a place where the water would be collected in, and that's underneath this tile. And this is the hole right here. It's not that deep. I think it's about half a bucket that goes in there. And that's what they used to use. Whenever there was some water coming into the cellar for whatever reason, it would actually get in here because the floor is going down to that hole. And then they would scoop it out. And I actually cleaned because there was a little bit in it. But you can see right now it's all dried up. So there is no issues for the moment. Although it's wintertime, so not too bad. But last summer we had so much rain. And in the fall we had actually the water damage. So now we need to fix the walls. But let's measure the humidity on these walls anyway, just to see how dry they are, because they should be dry, even though they have been wet before, but the water is gone already since a couple of weeks. So let's measure it. Hopefully you can see it. And I'm measuring about 12%. In fact, it says it's really dry. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try to bend it over a bit so you can spot it. So it is dry. 14% of humidity, which is okay for a cellar. Now, as the walls are dry now, I can actually paint them. But I want to prevent this issue again if we have some water coming in, which is about this high. Because the drywall is about a finger from the ground. And water was a little bit higher than that, especially here in this corner. And the way I'm going to do this is by using this cutter. And I'm going to cut a sleeve just above the plinth. And I have these plastic angular pieces here, which I will actually then slide into that grid. And this is going to give me my humidity separation. So even if the water would come up a little bit higher, maybe even up to this point, especially here in the corner, which I hope it will never do again, then my drywall will be protected. So let's do this. So if you're going to install even waterproof panels or boards in front of an old wall which is fairly dry, you should still consider putting vent areas in. And I have a couple of vents all around the top of the wall in this room, so at least the wall which is behind the drywall can still breathe, although it's not really humid, but it still has to breathe, because if it cannot breathe, you're going to get mold over time, and that's not a good thing to have. So always make sure you have vents, and have these actually in place, and that's probably why these drywalls are by now actually dry, as you have seen with the meter. But now let's get on and install this protection guide. You know, I'm just gonna cut a very, very small slit in the wall. And that should be normally enough to slide this in. See, this just fits in nicely and tight. This is exactly what I wanted to do. All right. Okay, so we've cut the groove, and now it's just a matter of putting in the plastic, and we should be done with this. Of course, I will still have to paint the walls afterwards. That's a given. Alright, so now I just need to check where the studs are. That's the beginning of it. And that's the end of it. Now, how deep are they? I don't know, because it depends on my piece of plastic, how deep that is, and that's just about right. So let's see if we put this in, what the result will be. Oh, that fits properly, so no big deal. I don't need to cut out the plastic, because I was afraid I had to do some cutouts wherever the studs were, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So let's fit it. And this will be quite alright. This looks good. Alright. Okay, that is done. I think this is looking quite alright. The only thing I have left to do is really to paint the walls. As you can see, every so often I have some work to do in the house as well. And yes, in the cellar I made the mistake. I should have had a much higher water shield, but okay, that is now sorted out without too much hassle. So the wall is painted, and I'm just putting the rosters back up for the ventilation. So I need to glue back a couple of those tiles, and I like to use Tech 7 for that. That's pretty good stuff. Just a few dots. And if you place them wrong, I'm just going to suck them back up. No, I'm just kidding, guys. That's not the case. It's just a bit of fun. Alright folks, we have repainted the walls and now all what's left for me is to put everything back in place and we are done. So thank you for viewing and please comment if you want and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.
Okay, I still need to scrub the floor, but that's going to be for tomorrow. Bye bye.